So I want to be able to expose as much of the glue here without getting on the piece that I'm actually keeping here. And we're going to make our cuts right on this grout line right here. So I'm just getting nice and close to the line without actually cutting the line. That's how I'm going to do that. Going to go around all four sides the exact same way. You guys are going to get yourself out of hot water by watching this little video on how to repair a rip in your vinyl flooring. You can do it before the wife even sees it. You have a rip like this. I'm going to show you how to make it look like this. Most of the time when your flooring installer installs your flooring, they're going to say, hey, would you like to keep a scrap of this? Absolutely say yes, you're going to need that just for instances like this, whether it be carpet, vinyl plank, hardwood, rolled goods like we have here. You're definitely going to want to keep as big a piece as you can without it being too much in the way or anything like that. You can always take a small roll like this that you have left over, roll it up with a piece of tape or string or whatever, store it away under a bed in the attic or what have you. First thing we want to do is go ahead and take our scrap that we got. We can see what kind of square we're working on here. I want to make sure that I have that particular square in the scrap of vinyl that I have left. We're going to roll it out here, and hopefully we do. Absolutely, right there.
Now just a brief moment from our sponsor, Jobber. Jobber's a CRM. If you guys not sure what that means, that's a customer relationship management software. It kind of bridges the gap between yourself and the clients. It just helps, it'll send updates. You can set everything customizable to your preference. You can have it send messages to your clients saying Floors by Southern Boys will be there at so-and-so time. They are scheduled for the job. The job's to take 5 days. And if you already are not super busy because of spring and summer coming, it's fixing to be guaranteed. So every little bitty chance that we get to save some time and effort toward the business is great. Give us more time at home with our families. What we actually started working for ourselves for was to have more freedom and availability to our families. So Jobber definitely frees up your time, not sitting behind the desk near as much since I've started using Jobber. It absolutely saves me time invoicing, quotes, setting up different aspects of the software to help me with my clients. Just like right now, the job I'm on is a little church out in the country. It sends a notification to the client. Floors by Southern Boys is scheduled to show up tomorrow between 8:30 and 9:30 to start the installation. They knew that without me doing anything. I scheduled this about a month ago. All of that pre-work up to the job is done by the software. You don't even have to worry about it. That is a big plus in my book. If this seems like something that you might be interested in, you can try them out for free for 14 days. That's 2 weeks to give you plenty of time to run around there in the software, see if you're going to like it, check out all the settings and stuff like that. Trust me, it's very customizable to do what you want to do. And also, if you use the link that I provide in the description of this video, you're going to save 20% if you decide to subscribe to the software, which if you check it out, I'm certain you will. It's awesome.
So if you can see this square, it needs to be turned over here like this, but this square right here, or this rectangle, is that rectangle right there. So we're going to use this piece to replace that. I'm going to go ahead and get this piece cut out. What I'm using to cut this is a carpet knife, and I want to use a carpet knife versus a utility knife for the simple reason a carpet blade is thinner and it's going to give you a cleaner, more precise, fine cut than a utility blade because it is a thinner blade. So anytime that I do repair work, seaming vinyl or anything like that, I always like to use a carpet knife. Nowadays, most vinyl is put down with a pressure-sensitive adhesive. So the glue underneath here is still going to be tacky. So whenever you do this, you're going to want to be careful not to get a bunch of garbage in your glue, because it's still going to be sticky. You want to keep it nice and clean underneath there. You may actually get lucky enough to use the same glue and not even have to spread more glue. So what I'm doing right here, I'm actually just cutting right beside the line, right beside the grout line on the piece that I'm cutting out. So I want to be able to expose as much of the glue here without getting on the piece that I'm actually keeping here. And we're going to make our cuts right on this grout line right here. So I'm just getting nice and close to the line without actually cutting the line. That's how I'm going to do that. Going to go around all four sides the exact same way. Okay, now that I got that cut, I'm going to go ahead and get me a little spot where I can start pulling up on the vinyl. Again, this is going to be put down with a pressure sensitive adhesive. So if we're lucky, we'll be able to use the existing glue, and it does still feel tacky. So I think we're going to be in luck. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I want to just grab a hole, start pulling it up. If it was installed properly, oh no, don't do that. You should be able to get it up pretty good without a whole bunch of problems. I'm just going to, oh no. Oh my goodness. This is not what you want. This is definitely some good adhesive right here. Unfortunately, that's not what we wanted to happen. I was hoping to get it up all nice and clean, but nonetheless, that's going to be good. Now you can see what you got to do if this happens to you, okay? So I just got me a little 5-in-1 right here. We're going to attempt to use this, see how it works. If it don't work, I'll do something else. Looks like we're going to end up being okay. All right, so this is going to be okay. Just going to take a little bit of elbow work here to get it up, which is going to be okay. See that? So it is coming up clean, and I'm glad of that. That's what we want. Just going to take a little time. Okay. Unfortunately, we was not able to get it up clean. You can see the gouges and stuff like that in the vinyl, in the subfloor here. We are not going to be able to install our patch over this floor. We're definitely going to have to address this stuff, take care of it. If we install over these places like this, we are definitely going to have problems. What will happen is the glue will suck the vinyl down into those divots right there, and you will actually see that telegraph through on top of your surface here, okay? What I'm going to use to fill these little holes is a Plenty Prep SC. This is a skim coat made by Mape. I think that you can get this at Lowe's. I'm almost certain you can. And Home Depot will carry a brand called Henry, which is made by Ardex. Is going to be good enough to do what we need to do here. So we don't have to do a whole lot. I'm actually just cut a little bit of a water bottle off. I'm going to just take and scoop out a little bit with my chisel here and put it right in that cup. Again, it's not going to take a whole lot to do what we got to do, so we don't have to get too dramatic with the amount or even the specific measurements for the water to powder ratio. We just want to get it mixed up to where it's not soupy. We don't want it runny. We definitely don't want it runny. I'll show you the consistency that you want to get. Okay, so you can see the consistency there. It is pretty thick. See that? I can smash it and it'll stick to that, and I'm able to pick it up. See there? So that's what we want right there. If it was too runny, you definitely could not do that, okay? So now that I got that, I'm going to take just a little putty knife. This is actually for sheetrock, I think, but I'm going to use it just to do this right here. I'm going to push it down, not just drag it across, but I actually want to push it down into the holes as I'm going over it. If I was to just stick it there and drag over it, it might fill them in, but there's no guarantee. Watch this one right there's a hole. Watch this. See that? It actually went directly over this hole right there. Right here is a hole, and it went directly over that. So we definitely want to push it down. Now watch this. I'll push it down into the hole. Now, did you see that? How it just filled it right in there, okay? So that's why we want to push it down into the hole versus just dragging across it, okay? So anywhere there's a hole, we want to push down into the hole, okay? You can see where the holes were. All these little dark spots were actually holes in the floor, and it's dark like that because the floor patch is thicker. If it's clean, where there's no hole, it'll simply scrape off the top of the floor just like that. Anywhere there's a divot or a hole that has to be filled in, the mud's going to be thicker. That will leave dark spots just like this. So we got to let that dry. Then we can carry on. So it's probably going to take about 30 minutes for this to dry good enough to go over. What you can do to accelerate the drying is if you have a hair dryer, you can blow heat on it, which will dry it up. Or if you want to just put a fan blowing directly on it, walk away, have lunch or whatever, come back, it's going to be completely cured. It will be a light gray, just as the powder is before it is wet. It'll be a light gray once it's dry and good enough to go over, okay? The dark spots that's on here now will be a little bit darker. For the most part, it's going to be a completely light gray color. I'll show you what that looks like in just a few minutes. Okay, we are now all completely dry here. Just a little bit. You can see roughness a little bit from the old adhesive, little bitty pieces of vinyl that's left. We're now going to take our 5-in-1 again and just scrape over easily. Now, we don't want to cause damage. We just filled this in with floor patch. But we're going to go ahead and scrape off anything that we're able to get right now. And we might even do a little bit more here in just a minute after we get our piece cut in just like we want it. So right now, what we're wanting to do is just scrape any bumps or anything that's protruding. Again, if we have any dips or anything protruding, it's going to be magnified once we glue this next piece of vinyl down. So we want this as absolutely as smooth as possible, okay? And I'm going to wait about getting too particular about cleaning it out until after I make my very, very last cut that I got to do with actually cutting the piece of vinyl in. So right now I'm just going to kind of blow it off there. Okay, so this is how that was in there. So we need to have the dark spot down here on this end. We could actually, if we was going to, look at another pattern on down the room there just to make sure we get it turned the right way. But nonetheless, we want to get it turned the right direction. I am going to go ahead and cut this a little bit closer to the grout line on both sides. Actually, all three sides. The one side is good enough. But I'm going to get it real nice. Just leaving myself about a 1/2 inch or 1 inch, something like that. I don't want too much extra. Just want to get it pretty daggum close there. There we go. Okay, now with that being done, we can actually look at our grout line here, 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 and here. We want to make sure every single line lines up absolutely perfect. Okay, we're going to come in really close on this. Get you right dead on top of it there. See, that is absolutely perfectly on top there. This is our other little line. You see that? It's perfect. Straight up on the other side is got to be dead on top of it so that it looks straight. There we go. And up here on this other corner, get straight on top of it. There we go. It's perfect all the way around. See that? There we go. Okay. Now I've got that exactly where I wanted. I'm going to take some painter's tape and I'm just going to put a few pieces on it here and there. Make sure it don't move while I'm doing what I need to do. I do not want to put my tape on the ends. I want to keep these exposed so I can see, because that's where I'm going to line up. I'm going to go straight across on that side after that, just to make sure, and then I'm going to do it here, 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 and here, okay? Make sure I got some on each side, because the more I cut, the more it's going to be coming off that while I'm doing this. I absolutely want to make sure I do not move it while I'm doing this part. Okay, I'm going to take my straight edge now, and I'm going to go dead center of the grout line, and I'll tell you why that is in just a minute. Dead center and dead center. There we go. I want a brand new blade, and this again is why we use a carpet blade. This blade is so much thinner than a traditional utility blade. It's going to make a lot cleaner, smoother cut, okay? Scoot this down just a little bit so I can put my knee on it and help hold it. Okay, right there. Now this time, I want to make sure that I actually go past my grout line just a little bit with this cut. So I don't want to try to start and stop directly on my grout line. I actually want to go about a ½ inch past it, okay? Right there, I've got my straight edge right in the center of my grout line. That's where I want it. Again, right about there. So I don't want to do my cut right here. I want to actually come just a little bit past it and start working my way down. And down here also, I don't want to stop it right here. I want to stop right past it, okay? You know, maybe a ½ inch, something like that, okay? Don't want this to move while we make this cut, so I'm going to put my knee on one side on the very end, and my hand up here is going to hold it. Now, this is a very important part right here. We're going to put our knife in there. We do not want our knife to lean to either side, okay? It's very, very important that our knife is literally straight up and down like this. It cannot be leaning to one side or the other. It has to be straight up and down. And then take your time, keep it right against the straight edge there. And again, just past your existing line there. All right. We're going to do the exact same thing right here on this side. Gotta get down there so we can see real good that we are centered of the grout line. I'm sorry if my big noggin gets in the way. Okay. Okay, I felt that. I know that it's cut all the way through. Same thing over here. We're just working our way around doing the exact same thing. Very important that we keep our straight edge in the center. Can't stress that enough, and it cannot move. The most important part is keeping that blade straight up and down. Very important. Okay, one more cut and we're going to be done. Okay, there we go. It is all done. We can now unstick this, move our tape, and finish the cleanup on the bottom piece. Now, this little bit of extra around the edge, we can now take it and pull it right up. Right on up there. You can see that we're going to have just a little bit to clean up there. That's all right. There we go. See that? You can see it's actually coming loose just a little bit, so that's not going to be too hard to get up and get clean there. This is just going to go all the way around there. Okay. Now, we got just this little bit right here to clean up. When we get that done, we'll be able to spread some glue. We want to be extremely careful here. We do not want to tear anything up that we don't want tore up, okay? So just take your time. This is real crucial right here. That's actually coming up super nice right there. Just take your time. Going to do really good. Okay, we got it all cleaned up now. I am ready to spread some glue. We're going to use a 1/16 by 1/16 square notch trowel. That's what's recommended for pressure sensitive adhesive. You can buy pressure sensitive adhesive by the 1 gallon bucket. It's going to be your cheapest bet in your local. You might even be able to get it in a quart in your box store. You don't need a munch because the stuff is very expensive. I think it's like $40 for 1 gallon. So it's pretty expensive, and don't do that, by the way. There we go. You don't have to get all the way to the very edge just to make sure that you don't get it on the existing floor. You can just leave yourself about a 1/4 inch, and we're going to do this just like we did with the mud a while ago. We're going to set our trowel where we want it, push down and drag back. Set our trowel right where we want, push down and drag back, okay? There we go. So when I say push down, I mean I'm going to set it here and lean it down just a little bit like that and then push back, okay? Right about a 1/4 inch, push down and drag back. We do not have to get all the way there. You want to get as close as possible, but it's better to not get all the way versus get glue all over it. So don't leave much. If you can get like within 1/8 of an inch close, you're going to be better off than getting glue all over. You don't want any clumps or anything, so go over it, make sure there's no bumps. This stuff will dry like rubber, and if there's a gob of glue, then it's going to be a bump under your floor, okay, under your vinyl. So we got to let this dry now. We cannot use pressure sensitive adhesive when it's wet. We have to let it dry, and that'll take probably about 30 minutes. Again, I'm going to put a fan on it just to hurry it up, but you got to let this turn clear before we put the vinyl in it, okay? So you can see what I got going on here. I just got a fan blowing right on that. That's going to cut the dry time probably down to about a 1/4. It's only going to take maybe 5 or 6 minutes to dry with that fan blowing directly on it, okay? Okay, so it's completely dry now. You can actually see it's real nice and shiny. That's exactly what we want. It's all clear, so we're going to go ahead now and place this piece of vinyl in the adhesive. We want to be real careful. This is pressure sensitive. When it touches, it does stick immediately, okay? So get it exactly where you want it before you let it touch, okay? I'm just going to start in one corner. I'm going to push toward that corner that way as I put it in there, okay? Get this other side started, and it is nice and snug. That's exactly what we want right there. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to just kind of swoop it in there, maybe a little bit of a turn and tuck in there as it goes in right there, working it to the seam as we put it in there. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here, just a little turn and tuck underneath there. Okay, so we're just going to give it a little tuck. Again, we want to make sure it's got the side to the side there, pushing it right to the seam there. Okay, it's a really good idea to have clean fingers when you're doing this. Okay, we'll do the same thing here, trying to get just a little tuck. See how I'm just kind of pushing that down right there. And I want to push it to it as it tries to stick there, okay? I want to finish up on one corner here. There we go. Okay, we got all that going right there. Right there. Right there. Okay. Now we got a roller. We take and roll everything, especially the seams. Okay. Now we're going to roll all over the seam. We're going to go from one end to another from the patch. There we go. Okay. Now we got two different kinds of sealer here. This is going to be your best. The low gloss, make sure it is low gloss. This is the type, not necessarily this brand, but a low gloss, preferably whatever kind of material you're working with. If you can find that out, you want to look it up and see what the manufacturer recommends, what type of sealer, because it is all got its own specific sealer. This is going to be the stuff that you can get in the box stores. I do not recommend this unless you have no choice. This is not going to hold up near as good as this is, okay? We're going to go ahead and mix this up. It's a two-part sealer. Once you mix these, it's going to get activated and start doing its thing. So you got to not mix it until you're ready to use it, okay? I don't know, about maybe an hour or something like that, and it's going to start getting all thick, okay? But anyway, we just want to mix it all too, okay? Don't partially do it. Mix every bit of it in there. That way you get the right measurements of each type. You need to get this mixed up real good. I do not recommend shaking it. You're just going to get a bunch of bubbles in it. You might be able to see there how two parts are separated right now. It's thicker, more colorful at the bottom. Up here it's more clean. I'm just going to take it upside down and give it a little roll. If you shake it, you're going to get a whole bunch of bubbles in it. So just roll it back and forth like this. Get it mixed up properly. Don't go shaking it and get a bunch of bubbles in it, okay? See this little spot right there? That's not just a spot for the needle to go in. That is actually what goes right down in between the seam there. So you want to put this piece directly in between the two pieces of vinyl that you just joined here. That needs to stay in between there, because what that does, that will actually put a small gap in your flooring. That allows the sealer that comes out right here to get down inside the crack right here and right here, and as it joins back together, you have the sealer inside of it, inside the two cuts, instead of just going on top of it, okay? That will actually melt the vinyl right back together. So this little button right there goes directly in your seam. So right there, I'm going to put it. We'll start at one end. and go right down. I'm going to smash it in there real good to get it inside there, and I'm going to hold it in place as I drag it down. That's going to allow the sealer to go right in that crack, and it's going to close right back up with the sealer going down in the vinyl. I'll show you that up close here in just a second. Okay. Again, that little nozzle, I'm going to push it down into the crack. There we go. Now I'm going to drag it. You should be able to see a little gap in the seam. As I pull it, I'm going to squeeze the nozzle and just allow that crack to get filled up with sealer. Okay. Again, I'm going to just push that down in there. See how it's opening that up right there? That's exactly what we want. And then we want to see that. Nice. And then it closes right back up behind it, allowing that sealer to get right down on the inside. Just going to finish this up here. There we go. There we go. That is it. We're going to let that dry. When that dries, that will be not so shiny. It'll be a low gloss and it will blend right in, okay? Okay, there it is. It really looked dramatic as we was putting it together up close there, but I wanted you to see it in great detail. You can see there it turned out to be a beautiful patch. Nobody will ever even know that that was cut out and put in place. Once that dries, it will be completely blended in with the floor, and it will not be all shiny. You'll never even know it's there. Okay, so maybe this will help you guys fix a rip, a tear, anything like that in your vinyl floor. Hopefully it'll help you. Thank you guys for tuning into the channel. Until next time, FBSB's out.